Kelly is an award-winning photographer and the owner of the website iloveclearwater.com. Doug is the author of 4 published books and a contributing editor for Florida Sportsman magazine. And now, here they are.
Indeed, we're here. This is Doug Kelly with my better 7/8, as I always put it, Kelly. And we got Big Ed Davis in the control room, the executive producer of the WTAN Talk Radio Network. We got a rip-snorting show for you today. But, I hate to start off any type of show talking about the weather. I mean, what else?
The weather.
But it's changed beautifully today. Wasn't it nice?
Yeah,
sunny?
It went from rain to sun.
Yeah, we needed
nice
a little
today.
bit of moisture and sun and all that kind of stuff. But at any rate, Ed, looks like Chris got re-signed by the Bucks. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this kind of came to the last minute there, but they were was the number one thing on their list this year, in the offseason. So
Chris Godwin, we're talking about, one of the stellar receivers for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Needless to say, Ed and I are.
And they also picked up a defensive end from Philadelphia this weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, they need an end rusher.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, that's great. We hope the Bucks have a better season. They had a good season this past year, but they didn't quite get all the way through the playoffs. But, Cal, what do you think we're going to see?
What are we going to see?
What are we going to see? What are we going to put on the field? Kelly is our expert, football expert.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I go to sleep. I can't get the Facebook to start working.
Oh, well.
So it's going to be broadcast live on YouTube, and I'll share it to Facebook later.
Okay.
Because apparently I'm an idiot today.
Yeah, well, today?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
No, only kidding.
I know.
Any rate, we're going to be coming up on our 9th season in June.
In June, yeah.
So that's quite a bit. We've been hanging around. A lot of shows have come and gone, but we've hung in there and enjoy it. We enjoy meeting people in the community and giving some platform to people with events and charities, and we interview business leaders and community leaders, et cetera. So it's been a fun ride. We're looking forward to things down the road. But for right now, we're going to come back after our little interview here, or I should say interlude with our sponsors, and talk to our first guest. You'll really want to stick around.
Our only guest
and hear about it.
He's a good one, though.
Yeah, so we'll be right back after these messages.
This is the WTAN Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys, provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949 or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com.
What do the most successful companies have in common? They leverage growth by forming valuable relationships and partnerships. Amplify Clearwater puts you in touch with accomplished business and community leaders that inspires networking and helps you navigate the best courses of action for your company. Become a member and instantly acquire a powerful edge over your competitors by forming strong connections with top business leaders and elected officials. Amplify Clearwater. One community, one chamber, one vision. Contact us at amplifyclearwater.com or call 727-461-0011. That's amplifyclearwater.com. 727-461-0011.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with my better half, Doug Kelly. And I finally got Facebook to work. So
Yes,
it's starting right now, just in time for our guest. He is the Public Works Director of Clearwater, Marcus Williamson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Great. Thanks for being here so much. And for those who are not familiar with you, give us a little background sketch of yourself.
Sure.
That's enough. Go right ahead.
I've been with the city about 18 months. Before that, had retired from the military. Spent 28 years in the military, primarily as a Navy Civil Engineer Corps officer, where we help run a lot of the bases all over the globe. Went up to Rhode Island for a couple of years, was chief operating officer of a construction company up there before coming down to join the great team down here in Clearwater.
Awesome. And where'd you go to school?
Went to a couple different places. So started at University of Florida, got my associates there, then went over to Northern Arizona University, got my bachelor's in civil engineering. And then throughout my military career, I picked up a master's from the Marine Corps University and a master's from Georgia Tech.
Good for you.
Awesome.
Good background.
Yeah. How about your family?
So I've got a wife and two kids. So both of the kids have recently graduated a few years ago. So they're out on their own now.
Empty nest syndrome.
Exactly.
What a relief it is. It's a sadness and a relief at the same time. Okay. So what do you do in your free time?
I work a lot.
You work a lot.
So if I get a chance, I enjoy doing a little bit of fishing, a little bit of pickleball, some biking. So.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us basically what your department does.
Sure. Public Works is probably one of the more diverse departments that are out there. So we've got both in-house shops forces that actually do work, and then we've got a lot of the professional folks. So we own the engineering portion of it. So we've got engineers on staff that are managing everything from traffic, right-of-way, the stormwater systems, as well as the city's capital projects. So a lot of the bigger projects that are out there, we would be running a lot of those. We've also got GIS, asset management, environmental sustainability. So we touch quite a bit. We support quite a few of the different parts of the city. And they keep us busy. So
there's no loafing time.
No, they make sure we've got plenty to do.
Yeah,
It's a great team. So.
It sounds like you really, really have a lot of a lot of balls in the air to have to work with on a daily basis.
And that candidly is one of the things that drew me back to government. So you get a number of years serving and getting to do a bunch of that all over the globe, and then getting just to a construction management firm. It was just construction. I missed the breadth of all of the different things that you get to do in public works.
You also mentioned urban forestry, and I was surprised that Clearwater even had urban forestry. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So, and we actually recently completed a vulnerability study, and they looked at everything from our tree canopy that's out there to elevations, at all the different aspects. So our urban forestry is basically the trees across the city. And we'll look at that. It's a little bit different when you're trimming over streets and right of ways. So they refer to it as the urban forest, but it helps with having more of that tree canopy. It helps hold some of the glares and the heat coming off from all of the pavements, and also in a built out area like Clearwater, it can actually help keep everybody a little bit cooler.
That's interesting, because there was a thing recently about the trees being cut down.
Yes.
So what would you say is the most letters? What topic has the most letters to your department? Would it be trees or streets or sidewalks?
So trees were, but after the hurricanes, stormwater definitely took over. I think the city did quite a bit with their urban forestry. So we updated a tree policy. We're really trying to look at what's the right tree in the right place. So different trees are better suited for different environments. Your big live oaks, not good to have it in a confined space, because those roots will start to pop up sidewalks, they'll pop up streets, but they make a beautiful canopy. So it's learning where to put those. We might want to adjust our sidewalks to get enough space to be able to put some of those, or as you get more downtown, they're too big. So we might want to go with more like a crepe myrtle that can still provide some shade, a little bit of canopy out there, but not as much of the sidewalk popping and other issues.
One of the things too about the fact that we have so many oak trees in Clearwater is that some of them are like 300 or 400 years old.
Yes.
I mean, they're majestic, really, things to look at. And I'm not a tree hugger type, but I admire nature like everybody does.
I saw you hugging a tree yesterday.
It was a cute tree, you got to admit. But in any case, you can't be too quick to cut down a tree like that, even if it's maybe not in the exact right spot. I mean, what is your feeling on that?
So,
can they transplant it maybe?
The new tree policy actually says we give them ratings. So from a 0 to a 5, 0 basically being dead. So we're really only targeting 1s and 0s when we're going in to cut down. So we will do as much as we can to protect those. We may move the sidewalk around them. We may just have to go back in, grind the sidewalk down. So we're trying our best to keep those trees as long as we can.
And keep the wind making them flying missiles through the air. Ed, you wanted to say something? Did you not? I guess you didn't. Okay, we're not hearing you. We're not hearing you. I thought you were going to say
that
something.
helps.
Okay.
I was going to say, after the storms, I saw massive trees. Yes. But one sticks out was Sunset Point. Sunset Point, just east of whatever that is, Highland, I think it was. And that thing was huge going across the road.
Really?
And it's still, I mean, they cut it so traffic could go through, but it's still there. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
I guess there's no supply this year on firewood.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. I was impressed on how the city cleaned up all the trees from the hurricane so quickly. Was that your department?
It was. And we had some contractors that came in to help, but it was definitely an all hands, a lot of hours trying to get all that cleared. So
Did the Parks Department help with that as well?
They do. So the parks will take on a lot of theirs, and we work well with one another. So we'll help them, they'll help us. So they actually, for the storms immediately following, we have what we call push teams. So that'll be some of our heavy equipment because we're trying to open the roads up as quickly as possible so fire and police can get where they need to get. So we'll go push some of these trees out of the way. So we may cut it, push it off the side, and then we'll come back later. So Parks actually stood up one of the 3 teams that we had out doing that.
A lot of this is stuff that I've never even thought about, and I've lived here 40 years, and it's important. So how about after the hurricane? What areas of Clearwater were affected with flooding? And you were telling us before the show that different entities.
So it was actually with the back-to-back hurricanes, they were 2 totally different storms for us. So it really tested the whole city. So Hurricane Helene came in with the storm surge, really hit the beach communities really hard with the overtopping of the seawall, pushed massive amounts of sand out onto the road. It was up to 6 foot deep in some of those areas.
Wow.
So it really impacted a lot of that. We saw some of that storm surge in some of our other low-lying areas. Also, is we went forward, now the ground was saturated. So Milton came in with those heavy winds and heavy rains. That's why it really hit our urban forest so hard, was those tree roots were saturated, had loosened things up, and then you get those strong winds. So we saw a lot more inland flooding, a lot of tree canopy damage. So we saw 2 kind of totally different storms, and it really did teach us. So some of our stormwater modeling coming out of that, we realized we actually need to model those back-to-back storms. That's not what you typically do, but in seeing some of the effects of all of that flooding, we realized, no, we're going to start doing that back-to-back storm modeling.
Interesting.
Are there any new technologies in the works or studies or anything that might improve the speed in cleaning up the area or in reducing the wind damage to some of the larger buildings?
So there's a lot of great technologies that are starting to appear. We're starting to look at some of those. So ideally, we're out in front and trying to trim some of those trees and prep the systems. But afterwards, as they go through, we're starting to look at, there's some interesting technology you can actually put on your vehicles that will do some of the assessment as you're going through, that might look at how much damage was done to the pavements, or it can kind of scan a little bit to the sides also. So we're just starting to look at some of those.
Don't park underneath an oak tree
during a storm,
because the branches get saturated.
How do you know, Doug?
They weigh like 2,000 pounds, and you will have a totaled car when that comes crashing down if it breaks off. And I will tell you that it happened to me. I was visiting my daughter in Tampa at their apartment complex. I parked in the space.
Under the nice shady oak tree.
Nice shade, right over the hood of the car.
And it wasn't raining.
Well, it started to, and then that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it just obviously had been raining for days and days and days. Anyway, totaled the car. I mean, the glass shattered, went all over, shards everywhere into the systems and the air conditioning ducts, and tore up, of course, the water damage. Anyway, take it from me. Stay away. Do not get under trees, whether you're standing out there in a golf course or when you're parking your car somewhere and it's stormy.
And we are starting some condition assessments of the trees that are out there, because the arborists, a lot of times they can look and see, there's a problem here. Maybe we need to go trim this limb or whatnot. So we're restarting some of that process. So actually looking forward to, here in Clearwater, hopefully we're going to start identifying some of those limbs and cutting them if they're in the city's property beforehand.
Right. Yeah.
Just so happened we cut all the limbs away from our house before Storm 1.
We did.
And I'm so thankful.
But every year you read about a tree getting blown over in a storm and hitting a house, and some people get killed in their bed laying there. Obviously, huge destruction of the house. Now you've got a big opening with all the storm water pouring in. it is really important to trim the trees and to get rid of dead trees.
One tree came down. It wasn't even a hurricane.
Yeah.
It came down that far from my head. I mean, like it was outside, but it was where I sleep. So just a foot from my head. So very important.
Yep, absolutely. So tell us about your staff. How big is your staff?
So we're about 150 folks, and
that's big.
It ranges. So because we've got a lot of the field folks. So when you talk stormwater is about 30 people out in the field. So the whole city maintaining all those creeks, ditches, it's only about 30 people. So then you look at our streets and sidewalks, and there are 11 people. And then our traffic signal folks are around 10, and our signage folks are around 10 also. And then we've got a number of engineers. We've got CAD folks. We've got the environmental specialists. We've got some permitting folks. So it's a diverse group in our organization.
Yeah, for sure. And you were telling us that there's also a Pinellas County Public Works, and you work with them?
Correct. So actually, Pinellas County does a really great job. So they host a quarterly meeting. All the directors get together and we get a talk and kind of share some thoughts. So a lot of the challenges we saw, it was great. You get to talk with everyone and see they're going through similar challenges. So it was the hurricanes were 200 plus year storms. So everybody really got tested. Most of our systems weren't designed for that magnitude of storms.
Absolutely. I think it was a surprise for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're in a fortunate geographical position, if you could call it that, because the storms that come into the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want to call it, go usually straight up and hit the Panhandle or a little bit west into Texas, Louisiana, Mexico. So we're fortunate that we seldom get them, but obviously when we get them, we're now well prepared for it, and the damage will be a lot less, obviously, too.
Yes.
So how does this play into the homeowners insurance situation?
Sure. So one of the other things we touch on is the community rating system, which is a scoring criteria that's out there. The lower you can drive your score down, then it helps with everyone's national flood insurance program. They'll start reducing some of the rates. So we recently went from a 5 to a 4, and we're continuing to work. So the more that we can do, whether it's educational information that's out there, how we're maintaining things, if people are elevating their structures up out of the flood waters, and even there's opportunities if the city buys low-lying land that is prone to flooding, and you take it out of a status where somebody could develop it, that helps everybody's flood insurance.
Understood.
So we're looking at a whole bunch of those.
I'm learning all kinds of stuff today.
That's great. Well, listen, we're going to take a short break here, and then we're going to come back with our guest. And so bear with us. We'll be back right after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items. including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949 or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com. Discover Clearwater like never before with iloveclearwater.com. Whether you're a resident or a visitor, our website is your go-to source for all things Clearwater. Find the best hotels, restaurants, parks, shopping, and events all in one place. Dive into our engaging photos and videos. Explore over 500 informative articles. Visit iloveclearwater.com today and experience the best of Clearwater. iloveclearwater.com, your ultimate guide to Clearwater for fun, sun, and smiles.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with Doug Kelly, my better half, who you got me into radio.
Yes, I did.
How did that happen?
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah, really.
She says, I don't know if I can do it. I said, you can do it.
I was a very shy person.
Yeah, she was very reticent.
It's been the best thing I've done in my life, I think, meeting new people and learning how to speak better.
I take full credit for that.
Yeah, you do. Anyway, we're here with Marcus Williamson. He's the Clearwater Public Works Department Manager. No, Director. I just gave you a demotion. Apologies. So tell us what a typical day for you is.
Sure. Well, one thing I do enjoy, no 2 days tend to be completely alike just because there's so much diversity in what we do. But shops folks are usually in earlier. So most of them are there by 6:30 in the morning.
What?
So
you're there at 6:30 too?
It depends on what's going on.
Okay.
So I'm usually there by 7. If there's something that I need to be there for earlier, some days in. So a lot of times it may be dealing with some of the shop's issues up front. As you go through, it could be department coordination, reviewing capital projects, working on new initiatives, products, technology that's out there. And then as we get into the evening hours, there's could be different HOAs that have community meetings that we go to, or council meetings that we go to in the evening hours. So when we
Those
talk,
are always fun.
Yes. So when we talk a lot of the, what do you do after hours? It usually gets filled up for me. So
wow. So you really do work a lot.
Yes.
Wow. That's a long day.
Cast a pretty wide net in terms of all the functions of the city. And without that coordination, we'd be in trouble. We'd have problems galore, traffic especially.
Yes.
Speaking of traffic, how do your department go about deciding what roads need to be widened or changed or routes done or sidewalks relocated? What's that process?
Sure. So we actually have a traffic engineering team that would be out. We would do different studies. So we may do everything from speed checks that are out there, the volumes that are out there, new developments that may be coming. So some of it will outsource to consultants and let them run things, and we'll have models to go look at different scenarios. So we're working with FDOT right now, actually on the Gulf to Bay. So they're taking a look at some of that. We're looking out at the beach and into the roundabout and looking at some of those. I'm sure lots of people have heard there's, some looks going on over at Drew Street. So we're constantly kind of bouncing in different areas. Some of it will come in from residents where they may ask about something, and we'll go out and take a look at that particular street and the traffic. We have a traffic management center, and actually we're in the middle of relocating. But ours communicates with the county. So we actually have a seat in the county, and that's where our person's sitting right now. So there's the coordination. So as we go to talk timing of lights, that way we can kind of synergize so we're not working against one another. Our folks can talk with the county and try to make sure we're all flowing the traffic the way that we want the traffic to flow.
Does that change pretty frequently?
So they can do minor tweaks, and as you go through different seasons, and
yes, spring break.
Exactly. So they may try to flow a little bit more out there, but then you can also recognize traffic's going to start to back up on the causeway. So maybe you don't want it going quite as fast. So they're looking at all of those different scenarios that could be out there. Different times during the day, they may do minor tweaks. A lot of people don't really think about it, but when that ambulance goes by, they have what's called preemption, where those ambulances can trigger lights to hold the lights as they're going through. But when your lights are all timed, it throws that out of sequence. So then your system has to go to kind of catch back up on those signals. So
no, I did not. What about keeping track of accident points? Is that something that your staff does, so that you might want to put a light here, traffic light, or take one down that's really not making much of a difference in the traffic flow?
So PD would keep track of the actual
Police
statistics, but we would draw that in
I see.
from them. So as we're going in to look at things, that's absolutely something we want to look at. So whether we're, pedestrian safety, crossings, trail crossings, accidents and intersections, that's all things that our team will look at.
What about the breaks in the roads and the curbs where they have a gutter system, you might say, where that's where the water flow goes in and sticks and stuff like that goes it down to the system. Are there certain things people should not throw into there?
Yes.
Such as
lots
plastic
of things.
Bags.
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, I guess a good way for residents to think about it is what might cost a penny or two to pick up on the ground. Once it goes into our pipe and we have to dispatch a camera truck and a vacuum truck, it's $2,000 a day.
Oh my.
So anything people can keep out of that, it really does save their own tax dollars, because it's very expensive for us to go pull some of that out of our pipes. And if it clogs things up, it can back things up. So anything that they can do, whether it's the inlets near their houses, if you can spend that couple extra seconds, don't put it. I think people see those because it's usually a low spot, and a lot of people will put their yard debris on those, or they might set their trash over by it. Or I saw somebody as I was driving down the road, he was done with his drink and he threw it down in there, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. So what should go down the storm drain?
The stormwater.
Stormwater, that's
right.
it.
Exactly.
Just stormwater.
So the more that we can keep out, just because as it goes down, and if it doesn't get collected, it just goes out into our waterways. And we've got some beautiful waters out there. So the more that we can do to keep some of that clean, that's one of our long-term objectives. We really want to get out to trying to collect more, do a little bit more treatment of the nutrients so that we don't encourage the algae blooms and other things that might be out there. So the more that we can keep out of that, because people may not realize you get all that vegetation in there as it's decomposing and it's going through the system, that may lead to a higher nutrient, especially in the old Tampa Bay area. That is a concern, because we're getting a lot of nutrients, and that can spark those algae blooms.
So where are these storm drains draining into? Old Tampa Bay or the Intercoastal, or where are they going?
A little bit everywhere. So
Okay.
the water likes to flow downhill. So it really depends geographically. So we've got outfalls all over the city. based on where we're collecting it and how it heads out.
Gotcha.
Okay, this
I
is
gotcha.
so educational.
Yeah. A lot of the places that have the openings where the drainage goes in on the roadways have gratings in front of them. And certainly when it rains, almost always the grass and sediment covers that grating. So I've always found it's a good idea after a storm to go over and kick that stuff off and move it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I would think that would be better. What is the position, if any, on the electric bike controversy? Since we talk about sidewalks and crowds and traffic.
So that definitely has lots of conversations going on right now. Interesting enough, our traffic folks don't feed into that a whole ton because it's really parks and recreation on the trails and the beaches and the police department on the enforcement standpoint. So,
so there has to be a lot of coordination.
Yes.
I understand.
Right. So some of those move pretty quickly, and there is concern with 35 miles an hour if they're in near pedestrians. Obviously, that could really hurt somebody. So
where should those electric bikes be? In the bike lanes on the street?
So that's one of the options for them. Mm-hmm. So it really kind of depends where you are. So if you're like Gulf to Bay, you probably don't want to be on the street.
This is true. This is true. Okay.
Well, there's supposed to be some sort of geographic information system too that you.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us what that is and what it does for the city.
Sure. That's it's basically a map-based database that stores a whole bunch of information. So it displays it in a map environment, but there'll be a bunch of data that's embedded within that. So you can kind of click in. So we're able to see everything from here's all of our stormwater system, pipes, water, wastewater, reclaimed water, gas. We've got all of our systems. We've got buildings. We've got land parcels. So you can really do a lot of analysis in looking at what's out in our system. When somebody calls in to ask a question, we can go into our system, vice having to drive out there. The other piece is the city's in the process of bringing on an asset-based management system, which will build off of some of this, which I'm actually really excited. So from my Navy days, we did asset-based budgets. So the more information that you can put in there, you can actually start to build your budget. You can start to run analysis. Are we being efficient? Forecasting what's going to come. So it really does give leadership a lot better picture to make informed decisions. So we're heading towards that, and I'm actually excited to start that endeavor.
You got to take advantage of new technologies.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And to ignore them or to whatever is disservice to our citizens and businesses as well. It's funny you mentioned sort of this a little bit off track, but your military background, and it seems to be people who have the experience that you did in engineering and whatnot in the military come out of that, and they're tremendous leaders in civic organizations. And the reason I bring that up is our previous city manager in Clearwater was Bill Horn. And of course, he enjoyed a long career in the Air Force and then retired. So he retired from that. Basically, if you get in the military at the age of 18, 22, whatever, 20 years, you're still young enough to take on anything.
Yes. And they really do a great job of developing you. So you'll get a ton of leadership training. You'll get all sorts. I mean, they gave me 2 master's degrees.
Fantastic.
So,
Nice.
As you go through, they're working you a lot, and they're putting you in a lot of scenarios where they're really testing you. So in a lot of those opportunities, you are forced to develop pretty quick, but you've got a great support network. So, I definitely enjoyed my time, and I felt like they really prepared me for life after the military also.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, you do that one.
Parking in Clearwater. It can be a challenge. Are there any plans to improve it?
Yes, actually, some exciting times coming. So we are finishing up the design now. So there's different stages. So we are moving into the 90% design for the Osceola parking garage, which will be 7-story, 385 parking spaces.
Where exactly is that going to be? Because
Osceola and Pierce.
Okay.
So right next to Peace Memorial Church.
Yes.
So it'll go right on that corner, and then the developments are coming with the Harbor View and the Bluffs developments over there. So there's going to be a lot of activity. We're also going to be redoing Osceola Street, making it a little bit nicer, kind of trying to tie the Cleveland Street with the park, doing some streetscapes down that. And then Fort Harrison's going to get redone also. So downtown's about to get a lot of activity. We're also in early stages of looking at a marina parking garage with some of the goal of getting that traffic off before they ever hit the roundabout. So hoping that we can get people kind of in and parked right of way instead of driving up and down all over the beach. So
are you talking about beautification of Osceola and Fort Harrison with flowers and trees or?
Trees, exactly. Parking, bike lanes. So all of that trying to, as we look at the traffic and we talk about those different pieces, you recognize you'll get a lot of pedestrian traffic from the park. And also you kind of want that going a little bit slower and mixing the pedestrian, bikes, and vehicular. Whereas as you get over to Fort Harrison, Myrtle, that's where you want a little bit more throughput. That way you don't have as many accidents with the pedestrians and vehiculars going down Osceola.
Awesome. Are there any plans to do, and you hear about this constantly, where people have proposals for rail systems, for gondolas, for people mover type of elevators, or not elevators, but escalators. What's anything on the horizon on that, or is it still kind of a wish and a prayer?
Yeah, we don't currently. The Gulf to Bay, I think one of the things they are going to look at is the bus traffic going through that, and if there's any value in a bus lane or not. So that's just a study. That's nothing to do with the rest of it, but they'll evaluate some of those.
Okay. What are some ways residents can provide input or stay informed about public work projects?
Sure. So we have our own website on the myclearwater.com. So there's a public works page. There's several subsets with stormwater, environmental, sustainability. So there's a few links that go through. So that's a great venue. Our public comms department, we work a lot with them. So they'll push things out through the social media platforms, and the neighborhoods coordinators we work with quite a bit also. So that's a great venue for people to raise issues in HOA meetings, or if they've got a particular topic they want to hear about, just let our neighborhood coordinators know also, and they can link us in.
Now, is your department going to be in the new town hall that they're going to be building?
So the City Hall will be constructed. We will not be in that building. The engineering side of us will be in the Municipal Services building, which is next door. That's currently being renovated, but our shops are out off of Arcturus. Arcturus over by Hercules and in between.
When you say shops, it means like building street signs and.
Correct. So we have a signage shop out there. So our stormwater, our streets and sidewalks, our traffic folks are all out there. We're with the public utilities. So public utilities in entirety is out there. So
and that's
what we refer to as
and water.
So that's water, wastewater, and reclaim.
Okay.
There's a lot of bumps in the road and complaints from people outside of Clearwater that it's tough doing business because of all the red tape. And there are a lot of environmental things to keep in mind that can bring lawsuits if you do this or you do that. How is the relationship with the city and some of the NGOs, some of the national green organizations, and people that don't want a tree cut down, don't want a branch cut down, don't want this, want that? How do you handle all that? Because I know it's got to be very complex.
Sure. There's definitely competing interests. And I guess going back to the military days again, you're taught really come up with sound rationale on why you're doing things and be able to explain, we're never going to be able to appease everybody. There's always...
Wait a minute. My heart just stopped. You're not.
So
you're not going to deliver beatings to people who send out squads, firing squads, what have you.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll do our best to try to work through and, hearing what they've got to say, they may have great ideas. Mm-hmm. So, some of those are listening what's being said, and we've got an environmental and sustainability division within Public Works. So they're also usually bringing up a lot of those issues in advance too. So they review all of our projects as part of the review. So they're providing that feedback as we're going through.
I know in California, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
In California, because of smelts, which are little bait fish about 8 inches long, 10 inches, it held up the projects to divert the water for California, which of course was pivotal and extremely important with the wildfires, forest fires they'd been having. That's an example of sometimes an overreach, maybe environmentally. Is there a way of getting around that?
So some of it is the being willing to discuss things. So I will tell my folks, never be the senior person with a secret. So if you're seeing something that doesn't make sense or you're feeling like you're hitting a roadblock, there's a ton of different venues. Mm-hmm. So there's the political route that you can always go, but there's a lot of the state agencies that are out there. It's building that relationship with them over time. You can go talk to them. They may have a permit requirement. We may not win a discussion, but at other times, we can at least raise issues and look at what different options are.
Right. Did you want to?
I want to get this question in. It's important.
The
Long Center Natatorium. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Can you explain what it is and what's going to happen to it?
Sure. So the framework over the pool. So it's indoor pool. There's not too many of those in the state of Florida. I think we've got one, and there's one up in Ocala. Mm-hmm. So they're great for the competitions that are out there. What's happened is it's a very humid environment. Mm-hmm. So when it was constructed, the framing on that has been starting to rust out. Mm-hmm. So we need to go back in, adjust our HVAC equipment so that we're pulling more of that moisture out and redo that shell so that it's not subject to the same issues with the rusting. So we're going in to start a bunch of that work.
So it's been there a long time.
Yes.
And it's going to be a little bit different design on the outside.
Correct.
How long is that going to take? And if you don't mind me asking, how much will that cost?
Can we come back to that?
What?
We're going to take a short break.
Okay. It's got to be really short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a short break. We'll be right back after these messages and chat further about some important things relating to Public Works.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman. Discover Clearwater like never before with iloveclearwater.com. Whether you're a resident or a visitor, our website is your go-to source for all things Clearwater. Find the best hotels, restaurants, parks, shopping, and events all in one place. dive into our engaging photos and videos. Explore over 500 informative articles. Visit iloveclearwater.com today and experience the best of Clearwater. iloveclearwater.com, your ultimate guide to Clearwater for fun, sun, and smiles.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, well, thank you so much for being with us here on the Kelly Show. It's been an interesting time. And Kelly, you wanted to follow up on something you started before the break.
I did. And my train of thought was interrupted or derailed.
It was derailed.
I forgot where I was going with that. But you remember how much is it going to cost? When is it going to be done? And
Sure. It's just under $14 million. And we should be done in spring of 2026.
Okay.
So they're talking about doing a little bit of maintenance while we've got it down on the pool also. But we're trying to integrate that in so we kind of take advantage while we've got the pool down to the big renovation.
Okay. We have a few fun questions too, don't we?
We do.
Yes. Why don't we toss about it?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Doug.
Yes.
What's the one item you can't live without? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
That's
besides your family.
Yes. Coffee.
Coffee. Okay. What's your favorite coffee to get? Is it Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, or from home? Or
I usually make it at home.
Okay.
So
we get Starbucks on the way to the studio.
We did.
Yeah.
I never get Starbucks, but I did today.
Yeah.
I needed to wake up.
It's $7 a cup.
It
It's
is
expensive.
Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. That was
sorry,
Starbucks. What food will you absolutely not eat?
Ooh, I will try a lot of things, but actually when we were in Hawaii, my wife got natto. So it's a fermented Japanese bean. And when you go to eat it, it's a delicacy over there, but the fermentation has all sorts of like web looking little things as they go to pick it up. And I could not.
Okay.
I could not.
That does not sound appetizing.
If you got to close your eyes and hold your nose, you got a problem. That's for sure.
What's your favorite car of all time?
Oh, that's a good question. So,
the Volkswagen Beetle. No,
I probably the old Defenders. So Land Rover Defenders.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Jeep. And it probably comes back to in Desert Storm. One towed us when we broke down. So that was probably.
Okay, I'll Google it.
You hit the Powerball, okay? And it's life-changing money.
For more than $2, yes.
Yeah, $50 million, $100 million. What's the first expenditure?
Pay off the house.
Okay. All right.
That's a good one.
What's the second one? Buy a boat? An airplane?
No, it's probably take care of some friends' homes.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember our name, of course, Kelly. Kelly with one E. Kelly with one E. If you could spend an hour chatting with somebody, anyone in history, who would that be?
Former General Mattis, James Mattis.
Oh, okay.
So
Mad Dog Mattis.
Yes. So he was Secretary of Defense when I was the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I served under him in a couple of different locations. So.
All righty. Well, Kel, I tell you what, it's been very, very enlightening and entertaining. Thank you so much for being with us. And what's the contact info for people who would like maybe information about the department? Quickly.
Sure. If they go to the My Clearwater website, they can hit the Public Works department. We've got a link right on that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, listen, just take care. We'll see you next week or hear from you next week. Till then, remember, don't go looking for happiness. Take it with you.
Thanks for listening to the award-winning Kelly Show on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Investors on Wall Street have a whole lot of worries about the economy, and it showed today. The Dow finished 8